Hello. My name is Daniel Davis. I am the director of the MFA program here at the American Conservatory Theater. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you to today's commencement ceremony celebrating the MFA Class of 2022. Together today as family, friends, alumni, faculty, staff, MFA board members, members of the Board of Trustees, trustee hosts, and longtime supporters throughout the MFA community to lift up these amazing actors as they step out into their promising professional careers. This is a day that at times has felt improbable for our 13 graduates, as they have persevered through perfect storms, leapt over impossible odds, and worked assiduously to reach this day. They have been stretched, they have revealed, they have learned to speak truth in a myriad of styles, on camera and on stages. They are multi-hyphenate artists, actors who are also writers, producers, directors, educators, and activists. They are storytellers adept at using their bodies, their voices, makeup, masks, musical instruments, virtually every artistic tool imaginable to make meaning and to share their point of view with the world. A.C.T's founder, William Ball, strongly believed in the need for professional actor training to be a living component in the physical body of A.C.T. It was his desire that every actor should be generously sharing their artistry on the living stage, constantly learning and growing in the rehearsal room and studio, and maintaining an engagement with civic life. In the history of professional actor training at A.C.T., there may not be a graduating class that has done more to embody the creed that William Ball put forward than his successors, and that his successors have continued to honor and develop than our graduating class. And today, at long last, this group of candidates will be receiving the Master of Fine Arts degree from the American Conservatory Theater, which they have so deservedly. Just as A.C.T. has been a flagship regional theater for over 50 years and a beacon on the American landscape, A.C.T.'s MFA program has long been a jewel in the crown of professional actor training programs from coast to coast, as the last freestanding MFA graduate acting program in the country not affiliated with the university. In his history of A.C.T.'s first half-century, former resident dramaturg and director of the humanities, Michael Paller, wrote that the common themes of A.C.T. as a theater and a school have been continuity and change, always changing and growing while holding fast to ideals. This year's commencement marks the last time A.C.T. will be conferring an MFA degree under its own accreditation, as the program will be shuttered until a university partner can be found to resume its continuation. It is fitting that the class of 2022 is the last class of actors to achieve their degrees from this fiercely independent, exemplary program, as they are the embodiment of the A.C.T. training ethos and the durable dream upon which the theater was founded. Part of what makes A.C.T. unique is that every limb of the organization is instrumental in supporting the successful journey of each actor while training here. From development to marketing to audience services, IT, facilities, finance, general management, and company management, every part of the organization plays a role in the MFA actors' lives. Welcome to all staff members, past and present, who are joining us today. The conservatory staff in particular play an integral role supporting the actors' work. A very special welcome and thank you to our conservatory manager, Charlotte Brockman, associate producer, Ariana Johnson, conservatory production manager, Mike Anderberg, conservatory coordinator, Alejandra Maria Rivas, our head librarian, Joe Talley, and our director of financial aid, Jerry Lopez. The architects and guides of the actor's journey are my esteemed colleagues that comprise our astounding faculty. As you all know, educators on every level have had to model for students the resilience, inner strength, and adaptability that have been the necessary tools to continue the learning process over the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. The leaders of that effort have been our core faculty, who you see here, assembled here to my left. Head of Voice, Christina Dare. Head of Acting, Lisa Ann Porter. Our Conservatory Director, Peter J. Kuo. Director of Dramaturgy and New Works, Joy Meads. Director of Education and Community Partnerships, Juan Manzo. And our Director of Academic Affairs, Dr. Jack Sherrill. Our core faculty members, our core faculty member not with us on stage is the producer of today's event, A.C.T. Associate Artistic Director, Andy Chandana. This amazing group of artists, aided by our associate faculty members, our singing teacher, Melissa Carey, and our Alexander technique teachers, Scotty Prindle and Elise Schafferman, have coordinated with our adjuncts, directors, stage managers, guest artists, and instructors in shepherding our actors through rocky passes toward brilliant breakthroughs over their 3-year academic careers. Also joining us today on stage are the outstanding leaders of the A.C.T. organization who have been responsible for A.C.T. surviving through the ravages of the pandemic and who have done a remarkable job moving the organization into a position in which it can continue to grow and thrive in the years to come. You see them seated here to my right and assembled behind me. The chairman of the A.C.T. Board of Trustees, David Reamer. President of the Board of Trustees, Robina Riccatello. Executive Director, Jennifer Bielstein. And Artistic Director, Pam McKinney. I would like to say hello to those members of the A.C.T. Board of Trustees who are with us today. And please join me in giving a very special thanks and a warm welcome to the MFA Board, who have been staunch supporters of our program, helping to provide scholarships, enthusiastically attending every project and play, offering additional resources, and providing a touchstone of home for so many of our students who have traveled to the Bay Area to study and establish their professional lives. No part of our actors' journey could be possible without the love and support of their parents, partners, loved ones, and dearest friends. You have been their backbone and the needed caring presence throughout their lives, shaping their character, picking them up when they've stumbled, celebrating their achievements, and always there to provide a loving embrace. So many of you have made the greatest sacrifices over these last 3 years. So today we applaud you as well in coming together for this celebration. Thank you all, and welcome. We will now hear from the leaders of our Board of Trustees, Robina Riccatello and David Reamer.
Hi there, I'm Robina Riccatello. I'm president of the board of the A.C.T. Board of Directors, and I am just completely proud and honored to be here with you today on your special day. We're so thrilled for you. You've made it through a crazy, historic, and pretty random few years with just absolute panache. It's been a remarkable achievement, and I've been very thrilled to be here with you through it. And I just have to say that knowing you and seeing your work and seeing the work of the other MFA students I've encountered over the years at A.C.T. has really been an enriching experience for me, and I'm so proud and honored again to be here with you today. Now I'm going to introduce David Reamer.
So on behalf of the board, I'm just thrilled to honor this class. What an amazing class. You guys have been through insane stuff, and I'm sure all night, or all morning, we're going to be talking about all the journey that you've been through. And I go back to one of the most amazing moments for me in your class was at the top of the pandemic, when everybody had to pivot. You had to literally reinvent what you do, and you had to reinvent how you were students here. And I'll never forget the night where we were watching In Love and Warcraft at home, my wife and I, and Carl and I. And yeah, right? That show was so good that it was done by the students, and later Pam picked it up and said, let's do it again and bring it to our whole audience. It was that good. But I remember the show starts, and James was playing the role of a gamer, and he just went off. And he started losing his mind, and I thought, oh, this is good. And it was great, and the whole rest of the show was great, and it told me just how resilient and fast on your feet you were in terms of the class and pivoting and the faculty. And Peter, that was an amazing production. So that was sort of the beginning of this journey of just, you guys just keep going. This is the Energizer Bunny class. They just kept going. Right up until Saturday night you were pivoting and doing, you had to figure some things out, but you just kept going. And when you think about the field that you're in, what a great skill to have, right? Because you're gonna, how many times you're gonna run into barriers like what you've run into these 3 years, and you're just gonna have to keep going. And if you think of all the alumni who've come back to A.C.T. over this great weekend, they're actors, but they're also writers, and they're producers, and they're directors, and they're artistic directors, and they're educators, and community leaders. So as you go through your journey and you go do all the things you're going to do, whatever the path leads you on, whichever one of those routes you go, just keep going, because you proved it so beautifully during this time here. So again, congratulations. I'm thrilled for the board to be able to represent the board with Robina tonight. And on behalf of the MFA alum board, the MFA board that's here, thank you so much for everything you've done. I wish you great good luck, and let me pass it back to Daniel.
As this is a special commencement, our last commencement in this configuration of the school, we wanted to have some reflections on the history of the program. So we're going to be joined today by Jack Fletcher and Emphaniso Adafia, respectively former faculty and graduate of the program. Jack Fletcher has distinguished himself as a legendary voice actor, casting director, and voice director in the world of animation with notable work on Looney Tunes, Aeon Flux, the Powerpuff Girls, and Hayao Miyazaki's canon, as well as video game titles such as The Walking Dead, the Final Fantasy series, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Jack is also the son of A.C.T.'s first conservatory director, Alan Fletcher. After growing up immersed in the world of A.C.T., Jack went on to pursue his formal training at the Juilliard School and NYU Film School. Subsequently, he returned to San Francisco and served for many years as a faculty member at A.C.T. and directed several productions on the main stage. Jack has contributed as a teacher and director in several conservatory settings around the country, in addition to staging work at many theaters. Jack was the recipient of an honorary MFA degree from A.C.T. at our commencement in 1995. Emphaniso Adafia is an award-winning, first-generation Nigerian-American storyteller, playwright, screenwriter, actor, and educator, whose plays have been seen at A.C.T., New York Theater Workshop, the Playwrights Realm, Magic Theater, National Black Theater, Strand Theater Company, and Boston Court. She is currently commissioned by A.C.T., Hartford Stage, Denver Center, Roundhouse, and South Coast Repertory, and is a member of the New Dramatists Class of 2023. As an accomplished television writer, whose work can currently be seen on Apple TV's Pachinko, as well as Little America, and Netflix 13 Reasons Why, as well as an actor who has appeared off-Broadway and in feature films. Emphaniso is a member of the 2009 A.C.T. MFA Acting Program. Jack will be reflecting on the early days of the program under the leadership of his father, and Emphaniso will be sharing reflections on her experiences under the leadership of Alan Fletcher's successor as conservatory director, Melissa Smith, and her remarkable legacy, which we would like to celebrate here today as well.
So I'm going to work without the microphone and trust my Juilliard voice training. And actually trust the space because I know that it's very friendly to a voice. And you'll get plenty of microphone for the rest of it. Thank you, everybody, for everything. It's very surreal being here. Last time I was on this stage was '88, doing a production of an adaptation of Aristophanes' The Birds Called Feathers, which was pretty out of control, and was fun. I will try to watch my language. I hear there's a kid. I'm very given to expletives. Yeah, so that was 1988. And then in 1989, I ran through the lobby doors with Ed Hastings and Gino Barconi after a massive earthquake. I thought the theater was on fire, but I saw it was very fine particles of plaster dust. And when we came through the doors, we saw bright, beautiful sunlight streaming through the ceiling, a giant gaping hole. And thank God it happened when it did without an audience here 3.5 hours later for George Coates' show that was very successful and had just opened. 1985, I was standing right on this X commemorating my dad, who had died in Denver of a blood disease. His spirit is up there. That's where he used to sit in that box, and I would sit in front of him taking notes. He saw almost every performance of every production he directed because he was that obsessed. And during that, Bill Ball was sitting right where you are and was very kind. And let me just read some of the stuff I have. I know that I'm limited to 5 minutes, so I'm having my wife start timing me now. It's true. I'm going through a lot of boxes, and these are residue boxes from 30, 40 years of theater literature scripts, stuff from my mom's notes, my dad. My sister was an actress here. She did a lot of leading roles, a lot of nepotism involved. It wasn't just the Fletcher or Lauder family. The company was very that way. It was a big, huge family. And like all families, it had its wonderful, ebullient and just blessed moments, and it had its dysfunctional moments. But it was quite amazing. So I'm just going to read real quick, and then if I want to quickly give you a little color commentary, I will stop and have my wife stop and look, and then I'll keep going. Speaking of my father's memorial, Alan Fletcher used to sit in that box. I've covered all that. So I was asked to speak about legacy today. I'm going to sit down. Is Rick here? Yeah. Where are you? Right here. Oh, hey man. What took you so long to get this degree? Yeah. Well, congratulations. The legacy of my father, who founded the conservatory with Bill Ball. I was asked by a student who dropped by our house, who was the last full class that I taught. I directed their performance, Fame that Big Take to New York and LA and blah, 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 blah. And he said, so were you a native? Josh Farrell, great guy, great actor. And I said, no, man, I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Really? Yeah, so was my sister. My dad was teaching at Carnegie Tech, now Carnegie Mellon. That's where he met Bill. Bill was a graduate student of his. So in our apartment, a flat that overlooked the parade grounds of Carnegie Tech, I remember Bill coming over along with Edith Skinner and all sorts of wonderful luminaries of the theater now. And Bill was very enthused about starting a theater. He said, Alan, I think we can do it. And he said, yeah, we can. He said, well, what are your ideas? And he said, well, any theater you have needs to have a training. The nucleus needs to be the training. So conservatory has to be in the name of the theater. Bill said, well, I want it to be really American theater. I don't want it to be this European transport. I want to do productions from all over the world, but I want it to be American, so let's call it the American Conservatory Theater. And I'm just going to read you. Oh, yeah. So this started happening, and a circuitous route takes them to Stanford University, which is where my mom and dad met and got married. But I'm going to read you something that I found going through these boxes, speaking of legacy, of getting rid of all these things and books and this and that. And I found this on Training at A.C.T. by Alan Fletcher. This was the brochure that you would get, when you apply. I'm just going to read you a little bit of it, and then I'm going to jump back in and speed read the rest of the other things and try to get into the passion stuff. I think the greatest strength of our program is that most of the teachers are also A.C.T. actors, and this was in their original plan. That Dad had then tried out at Stratford, Connecticut Shakespeare Festival to the chagrin and delight of depending on who the actor was. But he had them training as they were rehearsing for productions there in New York City, taking judo, boxing, tap dancing, yoga. Not popular with some of the older folks, I have to say, but it was very popular with the younger folks. And he says, our program is most of the teachers are also A.C.T. actors, directors, and students that work very closely with professional company, and that is continually in the process of rehearsing, performing, and creating. Our goal is to train actors to be capable of acting in our own repertory performances. I will talk about that in a second. We choose actors with a lot of vitality, energy, creativity. At the same time, and of equal importance, is the second goal of teaching the actor to channel that creativity through very disciplined technique. I think we put more emphasis on the positive energy aspect of creativity than other schools do. Amen, Dad. I think that is absolutely true. Most people are aware that the proximity of A.C.T. company is an important aspect of our training program, but it's equally true that the presence of students is also an enormous influence on the company. I think it keeps all of us on our toes. The students look to the professionals as models. The professionals respond to that. And the interaction is valuable to teachers to earn extra money. I've found that they love teaching. And it teaches them a great deal about acting. As for myself, says my father, I learned to evaluate ideas, discard theories, consider new ones. One of the things that visitors to A.C.T. frequently comment on is the high energy level of the organization. Much of that energy is generated by the students in our training programs, by what they bring to their work, and by what they ask of us. They're a vital part of what A.C.T. is all about. Well, that was the idea, and when we say repertory here, eventually went show to show to show. Repertory is, you know what the definition of the word is, but it was taken quite literally for many seasons here. So when you were hired, why am I telling you this? I'm not saying this because it was so much better then. I'm telling you this because it was different. That's all I'm saying. It wasn't better, it was different. You have to understand that when this started in 1967, there were no computers, no laptops, no phones, no fucking streaming, right? It was about theater, and it was San Francisco and Berkeley, the summer of love. Vietnam was in full force. People needed this theater. They flocked to it. They were thirsty. They were starving. This place was alive. And repertory meant street scene one night and Dutchman the next. They played 4 or 5 plays, completely financially unfeasible. Right? So that's what was happening. I'll get to the end now. Yeah, you can start the clock again. The friends you made here during your training are the greatest, your greatest assets. We talked about this on Thursday, and it was so great to see you guys again. And really, congratulations. I really appreciated the warmth and the openness and just the generosity that you guys, it's a spirit thing, and it was there. It's not bullshit. You guys are the real deal. And I just so appreciate that. It was so refreshing for me. And is, right? I know that in my career, most of my opportunities have come through friends. And when opportunities weren't forthcoming, it was friends I leaned on to commiserate, to create opportunities, whether it was starting a class, making a CD, mounting a show on a shoestring, starting a theater, writing a script, developing relationships, and building more friendships. I had a girlfriend I was quite serious about ages ago. She was an undergraduate at Yale. I used to was going to NYU Film School at the time. I used to take the bus up to visit her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Long story short, she and Melissa were good friends. Melissa came out to visit us one summer, and Anne had already applied to A.C.T. and was shortly to become a student and a member of the company. Melissa auditioned for my father 6 months later. He accepted her, but she decided to go to Yale graduate. This is the synchronicity of how this shit works, right? It's very weird how it plays out. The next time I see her was walking through the doors at Grant saying, oh, I'm here to see if I can run the school. We should go to lunch. And I was like, well, okay, here we go. Because I knew I was on my way out. There was a new regime, and that's fair, that's the way it works. Republicans, Democrats, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I knew I was history. And we went out and we had a lunch, very practical and very real lunch about these are the challenges you're going to face. This is what Dad was up to, but she had a very strong memory of my father from that audition. He was an extremely empathetic and kind person. And anybody that has worked with him will tell you that, unless they worship money. Okay? So in any event, that's how Melissa fell into this whole thing, and I'm glad that she was the steward of it for the time that she was. Friendships are the bedrock of not only professional, but personally. I don't know whether you looked at my friend John Percocino. He's a great actor. John and I met when he was a student at Juilliard, and we became roommates there. He got very disenchanted with Juilliard, much quicker than I did, and left. And I said, well, my dad's got that groovy thing out in San Francisco, and he became a student here. I bring up John because we remain close. We don't see each other for years, and then we see each other, and within 1 minute we're back to where we were, picking up the friendship. You guys know what that's like. It's a real thing, and the older you get, this matters more and more and more the older you get. This is a real thing that you hold on to. Well, John lives with Pam. Synchronicity, right? I'm sorry I blew her cover, but yeah. But this takes me to the blessing of Pam showing up here and being here. There is profound hope, and you guys are the legacy now and part of that hope. And you are, under your own steam, going to carry it on. But you know that it's a legacy that is worthy because of her stewardship and leadership now. Through a tremendous amount of grief and trouble, she is a phoenix literally rising to help this place survive in a powerful and vital way that in the 21st century is going to make people take their heads out of their phones and go, wait a minute, I hear there's something happening at the Geary, and I got to go check it out, right? That's real. That's a real thing. Not name dropping, and these are not amazing coincidences. This is the nature of theater. It is a tightly knit community of like-minded creative humans, not just theater, but film, television, games, all the entertainment industry. It is who you know, but it is also what you make with who you know. You don't need to befriend the gatekeepers or the rich and famous. You need instead to build your own gates and bridges, and remember first and foremost to be kind.
Class of 2009, and I am here today to talk about Melissa Yandell Smith and her legacy. Melissa Smith was one of the greatest acting teachers to ever teach. of the greatest teachers, period. Along with that, she was a force of nature as both a stage and film performer. And maybe I am like some of you who are graduating, where for me, Melissa was someone with whom I shredded against, and also someone who I loved. And when I say I loved her, I mean I love her with all of my cells and every single bit of my being. She even became my bourbon partner. At the time, she drank bourbon while I drank gin. I was kind of working my way up to dark. But post-graduation, anytime that I was in the city, she made time to go out with me. She was the homie. I loved her. And Melissa Smith, a bright star, transitioned in the fall of 2021 and left our plane of existence to become, I like to think, one of the literal stars above watching all over us, over here. Over the last 25 years, Melissa Smith had a hand in choosing the artists who made up American Conservatory Theater's student body. That is 25 years of hand-picking the artists who would go on to change the landscape of the American theater and beyond. So I don't know if I know what words to say that are gonna encapsulate all of that, all of like who she was, and I don't know that I know how to do that. So I'm gonna try my very best, and I'm gonna get anecdotal and tell you about the very first time I met her. And it might be a framework kind of like the very first time y'all did. For me, it was 2005 in New York City at A.C.T's grad school audition. And I was standing in front of Melissa Smith and Jeff Crockett, the voice and speech teacher at the time, and I was singing a pitched up operatic version of Sam Cooke's The Change Is Gonna Come. And I remember Melissa being stoic. I remember the way her eyes looked me up and down. If anyone here has been looked up and down by her, then you'll know what look I am referring to. And I'll tell you true, I didn't like it. I didn't understand it, and I was here to sing and monologue, so I broke our gaze. I made it to callbacks, and Melissa was still looking. I mean, I get that she had to look, but the way she did it, and in my head, I'm like, what? So I softly, I squared up, and I looked back. I really looked back at her, why are you staring at me? And she leans back as I look back, and then she squints. It was like she was thinking about something so deep, so serious, soul consuming, and it had to do with me. It had to do with all of us. So I looked away again, because too much. The woman was too much. And then I got a call from Melissa, the call some of you, maybe all of you might have gotten. And there's this very particular sound to Melissa's voice, and for me it's even more distinct over the phone. Her voice is crinkled sandpaper and smoke. But rich smoke, the most expensive smoke in the world smoke. Her voice was cut you open rough and soothe you well, sandpaper and smoke. So yeah, she called me and I'm dying. Not literally, but very much hyperbolically dying. And instead of coming out with it, she proceeded to ask me a barrage of questions. Am I ready to dedicate my life to my art? Am I truly serious about giving up law school? Am I ready to work on my physicality and address the basketball injuries, the myriad of injuries that I have, which saddled me with a limp and a waddle? And without understanding the work that went into all that she was she was very much so demanding, I naively said yes and held my breath as she welcomed me into the class of 2009. And we were off to the races. And oh, what a 3 years with Melissa it was. I remember how she pulled me aside my first year and told me that I was emotionally distant and unavailable. Which I was. And I remember how she sat there just looking, this look she has. And I said nothing because who am I? And she just keeps looking without disbanding our meeting until it gets so awkward I have to say out of the side of my mouth, "Your classes are odd, and my emotional distance would probably be ameliorated if you provided me with the pedagogical reasoning behind why we're learning Meissner." I will let you know that that earned me another Melissa Smith squint. And at the time, I thought I knew that I had wrecked it with her because I'd been disrespectful, and I now know that she was looking at me and wondering, where the hell did that come from? And what all else is in there? I remember year 2, sitting on silent. Keyword for me at that time was silent. Silent rages about casting. I didn't want to be the nurse in Romeo and Juliet. I was Juliet. I still believe I'm Juliet, by the way. I'm not ironic. I'm ironic. And I wanted parts in shows that made me shine, not just in the rehearsal room where I was cutting it up, but in the show. I wanted someone to take their chances on me, a person with this body, to be the lead. So by 3rd year, when after sitting on a year of 2nd year ick, and I was cast as Beth in A Christmas Carol, I lost it. I lost my mind. And I took my grievances right to Melissa, and I reminded her that I too sing. I'm trained in opera. I should have been considered for the Ghost of Christmas Past, and I declared that I too am beautiful, and told her that even though people might not see it that way, even though she might not see it that way, I am stunning, and I too can float down on that stage on a swing. You just need to make it big enough to hold my weight. I learned in that moment that if Melissa's voice is sandpaper and smoke, then my voice is ever-pleasant danger, sweet lullabies and daggers. That's me. And she sat back on her heels after my outburst and said to me that I am big, that she saw it on the first day. She said that she suspected I was so much bigger than I even realized. Big, maybe bigger than just acting. And after that moment, things were different. I won't list all the ways that they were, but they were. And while she was not perfect, no one is. I decided one day, post her passing, to look at my class the way she might have looked at us, with a squint. And I saw my class's voices. One of my mates was cowering courage, and he was magic on stage. And another was tight curves with a vortex drop. He was the kind of performer you couldn't predict. And another was achingly pure, innocent violence. Watching her work opened the portals into alien spaces. And I realized as I looked at my class through Melissa's squint, I realized Melissa's gift. She knew how to discern a spark, an incandescent flare of humanity. A body with a cluster of seemingly incomprehensible intersections that shone bright and could lead a group through darkness. Melissa Smith knew how to see an artist. She knew how to discern the spark of an artist. And she did everything she could to provide the conditions to let that spark burn. She dared to teach fires. And that's it. That's, I guess, what I want to say. Melissa Smith was a master teacher who masterfully brought together the most compelling cohorts and provided the foundation for them to go out and change the world. You, graduating class, are part of that cohort. And I will tell you, some of the people picked by Melissa are lighting up regional and Broadway stages. Some of them are on television. Some sparks are coaching actors on how to better use their voices. Some chosen by her have gone on to teach everything from elementary to high school, from Chapman to Spelman to Kennesaw to NYU and to Yale. Some of them have modeling careers. I know some A.C.T. models. Some, like myself, now work as writers. Some have brought the lessons home into their communities and are campaigning and working to rebuild our world from the ground up. We are 25 years, a quarter of a century, of students who were touched by Melissa's tenure. She saw the spark in each of us, and oh, how big all of us are. And so I have talked so much about her, probably too long, but I didn't cut this down because it felt very important, because she was my friend and my teacher, and I miss her. But now I have said enough, and it is time for her to talk directly to you.
Hi. Yay, I like that. That was cute. Okay.
It's as simple as something that nobody knows it. Her eyes are...
I'm Melissa Smith, and I'm the Conservatory Director at A.C.T, and I'm also Head of Acting in the MFA program. A key element for an actor in training is to develop empathy. And the more they develop empathy, the better their range is for playing characters. And when they go out and work with communities who are not familiar with theater, who might be experiencing theater for the very first time through these actors, our actors develop a greater capacity to appreciate all forms of humanity.
For me, A.C.T, for these whole 25 years, has been just right. And a lot of things have made it just right, but essentially what's made it just right are the people. It's because of all these people that I was able to navigate the shoals and learn from my mistakes and celebrate and enjoy so many successes.
You don't have to be English to enjoy sex. You don't have to speak English to enjoy sex. Lots of people enjoy sex without being English. I've known one or two Belgian people, for example, who love sex and they don't speak a word of English.
And last but not least, in fact the most, the heartbeat of my experience are the students. There's so many times when I walked up to 9A thinking, I don't think I can do it today. I've been in too many meetings, I don't think I can do it. And then I'd walk in and the class would begin. Somebody would have a breakthrough, or maybe everybody would have a breakthrough. And by the end of the class, I thought, this is the best thing that's happened this week. I'm gonna go home and have a bourbon. And then getting to see what happens to students after they graduate, how you evolve, who you become as people, as artists, whatever path you take. That is just gold. So I'm grateful to all of you.
Boy, do I miss her every single day. Thank you, Infiniso, for your beautiful words, and Jack, for your stories. This has been just a treat. Thank you. I'm Jennifer Bielstein, Executive Director at A.C.T. And gosh, 54 years. What a momentous time it is to be here. And you are all part of the legacy that the MFA program is to the American theater. Its impact is huge. I'm so glad that we can all be here today to celebrate together and to honor this program. Thank you to friends and family of the 2022 graduates for making the journey to be here. Thank you to our MFA board members and trustee host. Your steadfast support and belief in these individuals and this program is just astounding. Thank you to our A.C.T Board of Trustees for your leadership and your support of A.C.T and of the MFA program. And to former and current staff and faculty, thank you for making the program the success that it is. And also welcome alumni and friends of A.C.T and of the MFA. So to the class of 2022. So you're actually the first class that Pam and I have been able to be with from auditions through graduation. So I feel a very special connection to you, even though we've been separated by some distance over these years. And gosh, it has been a journey over these past 3 years, to say the least. We've grown and we've stretched and we've cried and we've laughed, and it's been an absolute honor to be part of this with all of you. We're so glad that your entire class has remained with the program during the years of the pandemic, and we've worked hard to adjust together and to maintain the rigor of the training to send you off into the field. And Jack said it, and I was planning to say it already, but we are all very interconnected as a field, and all of us at A.C.T. are here to support you as you go forward. So let us know how we can help as you have questions, as you need connections. Share your projects and successes with us, and we'll share them with the large A.C.T. community. And I cannot wait to see you and what you do with your brilliant talents. So we celebrate you. Big congratulations. And now welcome Pam.
Hi, I'm Pam McKinnon, Artistic Director. I'm just going to dive in. The MFA Class of 2022 was the last cohort that Melissa Smith recruited that stepped into training at A.C.T., and boy did they step in. In Studio 9A, through their movement work, their voice work, their interrogations began. They bonded through their humor and through their drive. Their connection to the work was palpable, and the emotional sweep of this class has been huge. They approached the COVID shutdown as anything but shut down. The spring of 2020, they were strong and quickly became experts, all at eye-line acting and framing and sending their thoughts into tiny laptop lenses, costume quick changes, rearranging their living rooms and bedrooms to manifest worlds. Working with their faculty, Christine Adair as director on Blood Wedding and Peter J. Quo on In Love and Warcraft, they set some national industry standards for digital theater. What was possible? What was possible? Anything. I was impressed that all students decided to stay in the Bay Area through this remote chapter. They took advantage of every moment they could to gather, to make work together. Acting on the stage of Cal Shakes with the head of acting, Lisa Ann Porter, until Delta deemed otherwise. Working in courtyards at Yerba Buena, filming and As You Like It in a Sonoma olive grove. They were a cohort that expressed themselves, lobbied to do more, to make use of their training and time. They were, along with A.C.T.'s facilities team and their committed faculty, the first to return in person to 30 Grant. And before that, used the Strand as studio spaces. They seized opportunities. Okay, now I look at the first row. Okay, all right. Oh my God. I feel very grateful to have worked with you on our Cymbeline project, ripping into that dense text, fulfilling argument, shaping worlds, and best of all, playing with that table of toys and musical instruments to underscore that strange and violent world that opened up into the marvelous Act 5 of heart-opening reunions. We made a battle with boots and drums and yelling and standing on chairs, surrounding Ken Ruda, leading him to that next line. What fun. Oh, and I'm also grateful for your clown show. I will not soon forget that Chaucer recitation and how everyone willed that ball to eventually fall into place. I believe we would have stayed there all night. It was a feat of absurdity and focus. And of course, your solo shows, the depths of sharing yourselves through autobiography and metaphor, and the generosity you showed each other was tremendous. And now, you are prepared to take the world by storm. It is your turn. I hope you will remain in touch and that you consider A.C.T. a creative home. I've said this at a few other commencements. These are some words said by the wonderful piano player and composer U.B. Blake. Be grateful for luck. Pay the thunder no mind. Listen to the birds and don't hate nobody. In tribute to the class of 2022 these past 3 years, James Mercer has created a short film that captures them in action, adapting to the times, creating work, and shaping their craft under extraordinary circumstances. Please roll the tape.
It's time to
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair. If you come to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there.
COVID-19. A shelter-in-place order. Emergency declaration in San Francisco.
Okay, your camera is now your audience. What does that mean?
behind me. Back there when I climbed on board. Jordan River's where you'll find me. It's wide but not too wide, too wide to ford. As I'm going, promises that can't go wrong. As I travel on, as I travel on, and my troubles all behind. Out there when I climbed on, climbed on's where you'll find, but not too wide to fall. And as I go, I carry with me promises that can't go wrong. As I travel on, as I travel on, my way.
The class of 2022, starting fall of 2019, entered A.C.T. joyously eager. In studios, classrooms, over Zoom, in orchards and olive groves, courtyards and utter stages, they created amazing things as a cohort of artists, activists, educators, makers, and friends. They dig deep, they play hard, they lift each other up and surprise themselves and others. I am so grateful to have worked alongside them, and I am now joyously eager to see what is next. They are the final class of A.C.T's MFA. We are here to launch them and to hold them as they continue their journeys.
The class of 2022 have distinguished themselves with their commitment, curiosity, and compassion. Their imagination and adaptability have served them well in acquiring technique and in cultivating the level of artistic excellence that has long characterized the essence of the A.C.T. actor. They are conscientious artists dedicated to making an impact on their community. They are pioneers and risk-takers. Their work has been consistently inspired, often groundbreaking, and always grounded in authenticity.
This is the end and the beginning of a whole new thing.
Okay, here we go. Okay, since joining A.C.T. in 2018 as head of movement, Danion Davis has coordinated the development and scaffolding of all movement classes. Over the past 2 years, he has guided the overall curriculum and the hiring of faculty, guest instructors, and directors as director of the MFA program. He has overseen play selection and casting for MFA productions and worked with the conservatory producing team in realizing all phases of the MFA productions. Danion trained as an actor at the Juilliard Drama Division as a member of Group 25. Danion was invited in 2009 by the late Jim Houghton to return to Juilliard to receive founding faculty member Moni Yacom's movement and physical acting methodology. Danion has adapted Mr. Yacom's approach while serving as the head of movement at Stella Adler Studio and as a faculty member with the Neighborhood Playhouse, Circle in the Square Theater School, and HB Studio. As an actor, Danion has performed in classical, contemporary, and experimental plays in theaters across the US and in Europe. Early in his career, he originated the roles of Curly Day and Muddy in the marathon stage adaptation of John Irving's The Cider House Rules at the Mark Taper Forum. He also created the role of Wilson in Chuck Mee's Bob Rauschenberg America while training and performing for many years with the City Company. He played the role of Puck in Joe Dowling's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Man, I wish I saw that. In Mr. Dowling's inaugural season as artistic director at the Guthrie Theater, which Danion began an association with the Guthrie Theater lasting many years. He continued acting in plays while also evaluating and designing education programming with the Guthrie's Education and Community Partnerships Department. A highlight of his time at the Guthrie was the opportunity to assist David Esbjornson in the staging of the world premiere of one of Arthur Miller's final plays, Resurrection Blues. As an associate director, Danion also worked closely with the Tony Award-winning director and choreographer Bill T. Jones in the development of commercial theater work. While dedicating himself as a teacher over the last 13 years, Danion also adapted and performed his own adaptation of Henry David Thoreau's first book, A Week on the Concord and Merrimack Rivers. He has performed in the experimental opera Brother, Brother, and he has narrated and played all of the speaking roles in Wynton Marsalis and Stanley Crouch's A Fiddler's Tale with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra at the Orpheus Chamber Music Orchestra. Danion has taught movement in many workshop-intensive settings, including a recent national teach-in with the Dramatists Guild, and as a guest movement coach with Bay Area-based Cantabile youth singers. For many years, he has enjoyed working with the theater research teams of the Work Center of Jerzy Grotowski and Thomas Richards, and as a frequent collaborator on projects and partnerships worldwide before they closed their doors this past year. Danion is a colleague, a friend, a true artist, okay, I'll cry a little, a great educator, a maker. He is humble and proud in the best possible way. He loves the theater, he loves his students, he loves the Green Bay Packers, and I greatly value our time together. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the administration, and the faculty of the American Conservatory Theater, I am pleased to award Danion Kennard Drew Davis an honorary Master of the Fine Arts degree in acting.
Did you go?
Try to be quick. I just want to share a few reflections here. It is an unbelievable honor to stand alongside my fellow honorary degree recipients, Mr. Najera, and the 12 astounding artists that comprise the class of 2022. You are far more than artists and innovators whom I admire. You are individuals of extraordinary character. Your capacity to hold yourselves together and sustain your growth through the challenges presented these past 3 years has been nothing short of miraculous. Like you and so many members of the A.C.T. community, my life was changed when I received a fateful call from Melissa Smith inviting me to San Francisco to become part of A.C.T.'s unique intertwining of world-class theater production and performance, professional actor training, and community engagement. My call came in the spring of 2018. Upon arriving, I was fascinated to learn how central the actor has always been to A.C.T.'s mission from its inception. Melissa was fond of quoting A.C.T. founder William Ball's fervent homily on the central and sacred role of the actor in making theater. The actor is one. The actor is the first and only complete and perfect architect of the intuitive force which captivates and awakens. The actor is the spokesman. The actor is the revealer. The actor is the opener of the door. The actor is the embodiment of the light. The actor is the carrier of the world. The actor is the child who speaks the truth. It is he who gives our art its merit and its meaning. The actor is champion. After joining the faculty, I was amazed to see that the love and care for the actor extended to Melissa pairing each MFA actor with a member of the Board of Trustees to ensure a touch of home throughout their time of study. I instantly recognized that Melissa herself was an actor of extraordinary capacity, and that my fellow heads of faculty, Christina Dare and Lisa Porter, were actors capable of holding the center of the theater-making experience in the very ways that William Ball had described. Melissa entrusted us to impart practical knowledge drawn from our own experiences of applying craft. Melissa further altered the trajectory of my life in the fall of 2020 when she asked me to hop on a Zoom call and told me she would be retiring at the end of the semester and that Pam and Jennifer would be asking me to take over as director of the MFA program. Her faith and confidence in me was inspirational. I could also see that she had carefully assembled a team of faculty and staff and remarkable supporters among the MFA board and the Board of Trustees to work collaboratively in facing the challenges ahead. Challenges which included, aside from the pandemic, the loss of our studios and offices, an impending special visit from our accreditors, and an indefinite suspension of recruitment until we were able to find a university partner. I knew it would be a daunting responsibility, but I also remembered the cardinal lesson that my mentor, Moni Yakim, imparted to me when he invited me back to Juilliard in 2009 to shadow him and learn his methodology. He taught me, when working in a conservatory, to always be guided by the needs of the students. No matter what would happen regarding the future of the program, I knew that continuity of the curricular objectives that Melissa set out was imperative for each of you to graduate. And so I took on the position first and foremost to ensure that you all could make it to this day. No one could have anticipated the incredible chemistry that Melissa had been concocting in the spring of 2019 when she called you each individually with an invitation to come to San Francisco to hone your craft and shape your vision for your lives as artists. No one could have known you would be the artists working at A.C.T. who would keep the ideals that are enshrined in the foundations of the theater alive in its darkest moments, when its live stages were dormant for 20 months. You are joining the legacy of A.C.T. actors who have triumphed over improbable odds, from the founding company who had executed William Ball's audacious inaugural seasons of 16 and 24 plays in repertory, to the A.C.T. company members who restored world-class theater, training, and education programs to the Bay Area following the earthquake in 1989. You've done this by showing up through some of the darkest times in our lives, from the racial reckoning throughout our field, to the urgent response to the murder of George Floyd, to the relentless violence against all our transgender, Black, Asian, and Indigenous families, to the climate crisis, the insurrection and the malignancy of white supremacy, to the current looming unthinkable assault on the sovereignty of women's bodies, to, of course, the pandemic. A huge part of this learning experience has been somehow figuring out how to show up, deepen your ability to be vulnerable, expand your artistry, and somehow move toward your likeness. You've not only survived those many exigencies, you have made wondrous, triumphant art. You have developed the approach to process that you came here to attain. You have developed technological skills none of us could have imagined would be required for entry into the field when you began your studies. And you have displayed artistic vision that will undoubtedly impact the worlds of theater, television, and film. And you have displayed the capacity to facilitate change that will undoubtedly make a significant social impact in the years to come. I'd like to express my deep gratitude to A.C.T. for recognizing me with this honor as we celebrate the class of 2022. Having the privilege of being in the service to their growth and their development has enriched my life. I share this honor with all of you, my dear colleagues. It's first and foremost a testimony to your indomitable will and your openness to working together to always find a way forward. Thank you for your courage and your effort.
Has been invoked into the space quite often today, and I will invoke her once more time. When the late Melissa Smith first brought me on to work at A.C.T., she asked me what I wanted to teach. I proposed several classes, including the collaboration class, which she was most excited for. The art of communicating confidently, effectively, and efficiently is one that we all practice our entire lives, but rarely master. To be able to assess a moment, to understand how to advocate for ourselves while respecting the rights of others, to analyze expectations, weigh them against resources, and discuss when there's a misalignment is a skill that we can all benefit from. And given the pandemic, we've all been misaligned. For you, the graduating class, this has included taking a sacred in-person art and training in isolation. For many here, it is a loss of access to many loved ones, both in visitation and presence. The results of these circumstances have led to difficult collaboration over the years. The expectations and resources have been controlled by the pandemic, making the past 3 years one filled with scarce opportunities for positive collaboration and communication, highlighting our own shortcomings. The pandemic has taken its toll. I myself have put on the COVID-19, plus numerous variations and variants, evident by my lack of formal bodies, as somehow the pandemic has managed to shrink all of my fancy clothes. I think there is a cruel joke in asking one of the least fashionable people at A.C.T. to present an honorary degree to the most fashionable. But I digress. I will say Jessie is one of the few people who seem unscathed by the pandemic. When I think of someone who embodies the spirit of collaboration, Jessie comes to top of mind. I won't waste your time listing off as many accomplishments you can find in the program, which actually I learned is not in the program, but you can see it in many programs that are existing right now, including Cal Shakes, The Plant Girls, and eventually The Christmas Carol. His bio is very thorough and quite expansive and impressive. Rather, I will effusively expound the intense impact someone like Jessie can have on any individual and any circumstance, and why he is so worthy of this degree. I've had the great pleasure of working on multiple projects with Jesse as the costume designer, as have many of you, the graduating class of 2022. You've witnessed firsthand his steadiness and confidence of artistic choices, the joy he brings into a room as he dresses dancing plums, figs, and onions, and willingness to give any opportunity a chance while being realistic about the achievable goals. I've never seen Jesse lose his cool, but I have witnessed him set his boundaries. He always brings vision, heart, and 100% of himself. And regardless of staying up all night, driving around the Bay Area to costume 12 students in 4 different shows with 4 completely different aesthetics. At all times, he does it with grace, generosity, and impeccable fashion. If everyone shared a fraction of Jesse's collaborative spirit, the world would be a much better and more wholesome place. Enough introductions, as now is the opportunity to witness the expert communicator and collaborator in action. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the administration, and the faculty of American Conservatory Theater, I am pleased to award Jess Daniel Amoroso as Honorary Master of Fine Arts degree in acting.
Journey to get here. I didn't realize that A.C.T. was part of my life well before I came to work here in 2009. Little did I know that in 1990 I happened to see Bill Ball's last performance on stage in the Cherry Orchard at Lafayette Playhouse. A performance that stayed with me for years, and it wasn't until I got here that I was telling someone about that show, and they said, "Oh, you saw Bill Ball." I moved here in 1991 to finish undergraduate, and every person I met, mentors, actors, costume shop staff, set designers, all mentioned A.C.T. as a place where you wanted to see a show, where you wanted to work, where you wanted to collaborate with someone. And I did everything I could to get in for years. Seeing shows at Marines Memorial, working with architects and lighting designers as the remodel was happening, and oddly enough, I answered an ad on Craigslist, believe it or not, and that's how I got to this place. It was a happy home, and I thought, oh, I didn't go to grad school, but that's okay. I stepped away from Yale and NYU to pursue a design career, and I thought that my learning days were behind me, and little did I know that coming to A.C.T., I would continue to learn every day. That as I started to work with the students, I would hear what they were learning, and it piqued my interest to sit in on classes, to ask how things were going, how I could help. And it was my grad school. And being with these students in the last 3 years and over 20 productions, I grew. I grew asking them what they were doing on a daily basis. I can honestly say that I have changed as a result of the pandemic and my interactions with U12. And the students before you all helped me grow and learn how to keep my cool and to be a better person in the face of the adversity we were facing. As we've said before, A.C.T. is a constant learning, and I endeavor to learn past this. Tomorrow is another day, and we will have more shows, and I promise that I will continue, just like Scrooge on the day after. I will endeavor to be a better person and to continue my journey towards costume design, production, and helping actors and producers and designers be the best they can on stage and off. And if my parents were here to see this, they would be tears of joy to see a graduation that didn't happen 20 years ago. And I thank you for this honor.
It is my great honor to introduce Margot Hall, an artist for whom I've had the fiercest admiration since I first had the pleasure of encountering her work almost 20 years ago. Margot Hall is not only one of the gems of the Bay Area theater scene, she's one of the brightest lights in the American theater. There is literally nothing she cannot do, and I know this because she has done it all. Margot is an award-winning actor, director, playwright, educator, and the artistic director of the Lorraine Hansberry Theater. She was recently awarded the 2021 Kenneth Branagh Fellowship in Theater and listed as one of the YBCA 100 honorees. Her acting credits include Black Odyssey, Fences, 12th Night, A Raisin in the Sun, A Winter's Tale, American Night, The Ballad of Juan Jose, and Spunk for the California Shakespeare Theater. Jazz, Skeleton Crew, Jen of the Ocean, Fences, and 7 Guitars for Marin Theater Company. All Wilderness, Once in a Lifetime, and Marcus or the Secret of Sweet at the American Conservatory Theater. Exit Strategy and Trouble of Mind at the Aurora Theater. Marcus Gardley's A World in a Woman's Hands for the Shotgun Players, and Barbecue and MFer with a Hat at San Francisco Playhouse, several of which roles she received Theater Bay Area awards for. Some of her acting credits for Campo Santo, where she's also a founding company member, include Dennis Johnson's Nobody Moved, Tanaka Hodges' Mirrors in Every Corner, Jessica Hagedorn's Faye in the Desert and Stairway to Heaven, and Naomi Azuka's Hamlet, Blood in the Brain, 17 Reasons Why, and Polaroid Stories. Floating Weeds, a world premiere by Philip Contanda. References to Salvador Dali Make Me Hot by Jose Rivera. Bethlehem by Octavio Solis, and Hurricane by Aaron Cressida Wilson. She's toured France with Word for Word, and her recent film credits include Leslie White in All Day and All Night, Nancy in Blindspotting, and the voice of Melba in Pixar's Soul. TV credits include Nancy in Blindspotting on Stars, Helen and Chances, Marsha Watkins, and Blind Witness on Nash Bridges. She debuted as a theater director with the world premiere of Joyride from the novel Grand Avenue by Greg Sars, which was the Bay Area Theater Critics Circle Award for Best Original Script, the SF Weekly Black Box Awards for Best Production, Best Ensemble, Best Director, the Drama Log Awards, Northern California for Best Production, Best Ensemble, the Backstage West Garland Awards, Northern California for Best Production, Best Ensemble, and the Bay Guardian Goldie Award winner for The Stage. She most recently directed Hieroglyph by Erica Dickerson Spenza, which was a co-pro for the Lorraine Hansberry Theater and SF Playhouse. Other directing credits include How I Learned What I Learned for Lorraine Hansberry Theater, Ubuntu and Marin Theater Company co-production, Barbecue, Red Velvet and The Story, SF Playhouse and Lorraine Hansberry Theater co-production, and Thurgood and Rejoice for the Lorraine Hansberry Theater. Prior directing credits include Sunny's Blues, a story by James Baldwin for Word, which toured France. She co-directed Bull Rusher with Ellen Chang, a play by Issa Davis and a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, as well as ones of Miss Island, Hamlet, Blood in the Brain, Spunk, The Trojan Woman, It Falls, Ragtime, and A Streetcar Named Desire for Chabot College. Margot completed her first writing project in April 2005 with the world premiere of The People's Temple at Berkeley Repertory Theater, which won the Glickman Award for Best New Play in the Bay Area for 2005. She was part of a collaborative team of 4 writers who used interviews of survivors and archival material to form a play exploring the People's Temple movement and the tragic ending at Jonestown. The play went from Berkeley Rep to the Perseverance Theater in Alaska and the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. Margot was also part of the acting ensemble. In 2013, she premiered her semi-biographical piece, Bebop Baby, a musical memoir at Z-Space, featuring the 15-piece Marcus Shelby Orchestra, which chronicled her life growing up in Detroit with her jazz musician stepfather, who was with Motown. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the administration, and the faculty of the American Conservatory Theater, I am honored to award Margot Hall an honorary Master of Fine Arts degree in acting.
Thank you. I promise my speech won't be as long as my bio. Thank you. Thank you, A.C.T., for this incredible honor. I am so proud to have been part of this groundbreaking institution. And I thank you for recognizing me for something that I love to do, which is teaching. And I thank you for seeing me. For the graduates, congratulations. I'm so proud of all of you. I'm happy for you. You're done. I know that I wear the title of teacher, but I want to thank you for teaching me. I want to thank you for teaching me patience. I want to thank you for teaching me that it's so important for me to be with you on your journey long after you leave the classroom. I want to thank you for teaching me how to listen. I want to thank you, finally, for showing me that through your successes, what I have done and what I continue to do will make a difference. It's so important for us to save the world. And I know that's a big old thing for you to think about. But you do it in steps. And you've taken a giant step today. Keep loving each other, honestly, genuinely. As so many have said, your friends, they could be hiring you in a week. No, but seriously, love each other. And now, go out there and get your blessing. Thank you.
This class of students started at A.C.T. in the fall of 2019 when I started at A.C.T. And I now understand my colleagues when they say that there's something special about the class that you see from beginning to graduation. And I feel a special connection with all of you. I'm so proud to be standing here to present this award. When I arrived at A.C.T., I shared your nervous excitement in being newcomers at 30 Grant. I remember as I was leaving, I believe it was League Week, the first day of League Week, this ball of energy and sunshine with fabulous nails turning to me and saying, "Hi, I'm Breezy Leigh." And I knew that I was going to have fun. I've seen you persevere through the challenges foisted upon us during a global pandemic, and I've seen you grow as humans, artists, and activists. As we come to the closing of our time together, I'm reminded of the words of Augusto Boal. Theater is a form of knowledge. It should and can also be a means of transforming society. Theater can help us build our future rather than just waiting for it. And I know that all of you already embody the essence of that statement. I have seen you advocate for yourselves in your time here. I have seen you stand up for what you believe, and I have seen you teach us all to be better at what we do and to be better human beings. So thank you for that. The phrase that I just said is a tenet that is core to the Citizen Artist Program, a unique component of the MFA training that was created in partnership with MFA students and administered by the Education and Community Programs Department. The curriculum provides MFA students with training so they can utilize their skills and craft as theater artists to collaborate with diverse communities in order to effect social change. These past 3 years, more than ever, we have seen how theater can bring people together, foster community and creativity, and help communities heal and envision a better future. The Citizen Artist Award, which carries a cash prize of $500, is presented to a graduating MFA program student who has gone above and beyond in connecting with our communities and students, taking on extra leadership and responsibility, and who embodies the citizen artist values of empathy, humility, cultural competency, and community empowerment through theater. This year, we are awarding the prize to 2 students whose work embodies the citizen artist ethos of using art to create a more just society. The Education and Community Programs Department is pleased to present the Citizen Artist Award to Zoe Chen and Wesley Pinto Guimarães dos Santos.
Trooper Award. Here's a little background. Miss Channing was the star performer of an A.C.T. gala a number of years ago. Due to smoke-filled skies in Southern California, her plane to San Francisco was canceled. Not to be deterred, she and her husband befriended a couple of pilots who themselves had to get to San Francisco, so the four of them rented a car and headed north. Miss Channing made it to the gala in the nick of time, just as the guests were finishing their desserts. And on cue, Carol stepped into the light to give a memorable performance, sans makeup or those wonderful eyelashes, or the gown she intended to wear. To honor Miss Channing's professionalism and to encourage our students in that spirit, Vice Chair Priska Giesling and then board member Rena Branston generously created the Carol Channing Trooper Award, which carries a prize of $1,000. I remember meeting the award recipient for the first time at her audition in New York City. She lit up the room, and I thought, we've got to get her here, because she made me think of Bill Ball's goal of training actors, and he was looking for an actor to look life dead in the eye and meet it with a resounding yes. In recognition of determination, resilience, exemplary professionalism, and outstanding performance, no matter what, we present to you the Carol Channing Trooper Award to Ms. Breezy.
What up, A.C.T. family? And what up, though, to Margot Hall? She knows what that means. Detroit
stand up. My name is Eddie Ewell. I am A.C.T. Class of 2020, representing today. I am blessed to be back home, presenting this year's Alumni Innovator Award. And so thrilled to do it with A.C.T's faculty, staff, supporters, and of course, the incredible class of 2022! Bless you all and the journey you've been on, particularly in this final year. I've been really big on self-talk since the beginning of the pandemic, and I've been practicing daily I ams to manifest all the things in the universe has in store. And I'd like to not only encourage you all to do that, but to tell you a little about yourselves. You are awe-inspiring. You are dynamic. You are resilient. You are generous. You are beautiful. You are money magnets. And I tell myself that 10, 15 times a day. You are magical. You are imaginative. You are limitless. You are diligent. You are compassionate. You are one of one. And you are worthy of all the opportunities coming to you. Oh, what a time to be alive. And what an important time to be an artist. I envision this decade as similar to the Roaring '20s, tumultuous, highly dissonant, polarized, marred by an event that radically changes how the world operates, and one of the most artistically dynamic periods in our nation's history. This is our time! Given where we are, I view the Alumni Innovator Award as someone who is all about pushing the status quo, creating art that expands our conception of what's possible in theater, TV, film, and resultantly shifts the culture in a positive way. After seeing The Pliant Girls and being part of your first year journey, never forget that project, Wes, I know you all will be part of creating the bold, progressive, and visionary projects that bring about this shift. But today, we are highlighting one. The Alumni Innovator Award is presented to a graduating third-year student whose work excels in originality of thought and expression and demonstrates a capacity to innovate the art of theater in the future. The award carries a cash prize of $500, and we're pleased to present the Alumni Innovator Award this year to Grace Eileen Fojtik.
I'm vamping until three of you get up here, I think, behind me. Yes, more speech, not speech. Not a speech at all. Hello. Oh, darn. Whew, okay. So for the next few minutes, I'm still the head of acting at A.C.T. And Jack Fletcher was my acting teacher. And I have been your acting teacher.
and it has been a great pleasure and pride to continue a legacy that I have deep, deep love for it. And so I hope that you all will be somebody's acting teacher someday and carry the ball forward. I also want to commend you. You're the first class wearing appropriate costumes. It's fabulous. Of course you're the ones that are doing this. I'm here to talk briefly about this class. I've taught many classes, and they're always ones that I love. This class in particular is extraordinary. When I was here, one of the things that Jack said to us in answer to a question, and I was trying to remember what the question was, and then I realized that the question didn't really matter because the answer was, when in doubt, be kind. But we didn't have to teach you all that. You came in with the biggest hearts and incredible generosity toward one another. And often as a teacher, I'm thinking, oh, just please do no harm. And I'm so glad I don't think I did. You are everything that I was taught in A.C.T. after is. You are bold, you are creative, you are funny, you are irreverent, you are nerdy, which I love. And these last 3 years have been an extraordinary, extraordinary journey. We've gone through a lot of loss. But you've made me a better person. And teaching you all every day in the worst moments gave me such joy. And I would lose sense of time. And I just love you all very much. And I'm so happy that you are the last graduating class of A.C.T. because I just think you represent it so very, very well. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Lisa. It seems appropriate that Lisa would share those words and introduce us. One aspiration Lisa always shared with us throughout our training was the commission of A.C.T's founder, William Ball, who said that his goal was for the A.C.T. Act to be the light in the room. The one who elevates the creativity, the artistry, the compassion, and the humanity of any space, whether it be personal or professional, which they should enter. The qualities or those required elements in order to be that light in the room have been consistently fostered during our tenure at A.C.T. They've been encouraged first and foremost by the patience, example, and profound dedication of the A.C.T. MFA faculty and instructors, whose rock-solid foundation was laid ever so meticulously by the extraordinary Melissa Smith, to whom we shall forever be grateful. Their personal passion was infectious, their talent consistently admirable, and their commitment to us always constant. Those qualities have been cultivated by the intense vulnerability, love, and benevolence, and unyielding tenacity of the Lost Boys, the class of 2022. The most incredible group of individuals and artists I've ever had the privilege of learning with, weeping with, celebrating, and growing with. And ultimately, those qualities have been inspired through the craft of acting itself, that precious art form that deals exclusively with that ever-perplexing, daunting, and yet exhilarating question of what it means to be human in all of its complexity and beauty. But perhaps the most essential element in this worthy aspiration to be a light is one that is not always expected or even wanted, and one to which the class of 22 is especially familiar and has been made to grow accustomed to. This element, I feel, is best encapsulated by a quote given by Dr. Viktor Frankl when he said, "What is to give light must endure burning." These past 3 years have produced what seemed to many of us to be a seemingly never-ending series of challenges and setbacks. Not only was there an expectation from a training program of this caliber of near total dedication of our emotional and physical faculties, the type and intensity that all previous classes are likely to remember vividly. But on top of that was added the unforeseen, ever mutating, ever evolving, and distressing element of an ongoing global pandemic, stay-at-home orders, fires, and its subsequent near poisonous air quality, social and political upheavals and injustices, the sudden passing of the heart and soul of the MFA program. And perhaps our most collective casualty of COVID-19, the A.C.T. MFA program itself. In the face of these near consistent disappointments, a decision had to be made. Do we continue or do we desist? This became not just a spiritual or metaphoric decision, but an all too real and tangible dilemma. Do we continue with the program or not? Our presence here today, I feel, coincides rather poetically with the reason for the presence of the institution of live theater itself, all of these thousands of years later. We still are standing because of our willingness to adapt, to press on, to dig in our heels and cling to the people, the ideals, the dreams, the stories, and the aspirations that make this art form indispensable and most stubborn against those forces that would seek its demise. We stand here today, the class of 22, not only because of our tried and tested and proven love of the craft, but because of the deep love and bond that we have with each other. One of the frankly harsh yet simultaneously rewarding realities of our lives is the inevitability of trials, obstacles, and intense struggles that ultimately provide all of us with the opportunity for growth, progress, and a wisdom that only seems to be acquired while passing through personal or collective turbulence, a wisdom that often cannot be gained in any other way. In many ways, we have been burned. But if we are to give light, the kind and quality to which Lisa and others have called us to, then that was to be expected. But now, looking at what we've been through, we can stand with confidence at where we have arrived. We can be assured that we are fortified and strengthened to trailblaze from A.C.T., bearing high a light that now shines ever brighter, with joys that feel that much sweeter, armed with skills and a proficiency that much more honed due to and because of our refiner's fire. And I could never have imagined a greater group of people with which to shine than you all. All of my love and deepest thanks to each and every one of you of the class of 22 who have imprinted yourselves indelibly upon my heart. To the American Conservatory Theater and to my personal bedrock, Jordan, Carter, and Holden. You gave me my strength, my faith, and reason to excel and grow each and every day. How I love you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Going to acting grad school is absurd. I mean, our school's literally called A.C.T., and which means act, and we don't talk about it enough. It's absurd. Waking up at 6 a.m. only to cry in front of a class of strangers is absurd. Creating entire shows in 2 weeks is absurd. Embodying seaweed for an hour and a half and loving it is absurd. I mean, the best way to describe these last 3 years is by calling it what it is: absurd. We did this over Zoom. We screamed obscenities into our pillows during clown. We turned our bedrooms into stages. We dealt with neighbors who, for some reason beyond my comprehension, didn't appreciate our 9 a.m. vocal warm-ups. We asked a lot from the people that we love, our families, all of you, who didn't necessarily sign up for all of this. You opened up your homes to help us create art. My parents became stagehands. My brother was part of In Love and Warcraft. Amnon's mom was an actress in his solo show. So many of our friends and families became camera operators. Thank you, Alex. We invaded living rooms, and we lifted our soft palates and sang our hearts out during work days, all during a global pandemic. You gave us all so much, and for that, thank you. I'll be honest, it was difficult at times to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Part of me still thinks that I will be getting emails from Charlotte after we graduate. We pushed through a lot in order to get to this stage, and thanks to COVID, this is the only time I've been able to speak on the Geary, but I'll take what I can get. Grad school is hard. Grad school during a global pandemic is hard. And I would not have been able to get through it without this group of people right here. Sorry. You've seen me cry before. You guys are my classmates and my friends. From the beginning, people have recognized that this class was special, that we had a connection as a cohort that is rare. We have chemistry. These people sitting in front of me have become some of the closest people in my life. We have seen each other through some of our most absurd moments. And it's hard to imagine that we won't see each other every day, 6 days a week for more than 10 hours a day. And don't get me wrong, on one hand, I'm so excited not to see you all. But God, I know at the end of the summer, when I don't get that email from Charlotte with our schedule, it's gonna hit. And then I'm not gonna hear Cassie's laugh from the other room. Or see Zoe voguing in every corner that she's in. Or hear Nick and James singing. These people are absurd. They are rare. And I'm gonna miss you guys. I'm gonna miss Morgan and I's secret good job hand signal that always made me feel proud of my work, even though it was just a silly little gesture. I'm going to miss Evangeline's alter ego, Gertie. I'm gonna miss looking over to see Nikki's face and see whatever she's thinking printed on it. I always found her, I always sought her out. We have been through a lot together, y'all, and I'm not even talking about the pandemic. We have cried, sweat, and bled in front of each other. And we've celebrated a lot. The birth of Morgan's second child, Holden. Nikki's engagement to the wonderful Jimmy. I don't know where you're at. We got to watch our friends fall in love. And we got to celebrate Breezy's birth month. But in all of the good, there's a little bad. And we've experienced loss. And we've helped each other get through it. We lost and mourned our beloved Melissa Smith, the person that brought us all here together. All of us, including some of you in the audience, received that coveted phone call that ended up leading us to this incredible stage. I actually missed my call twice and deleted the message because my phone transcribed it as, "Hi, this is Melissa from A.T.T. So that squint was a little bit more pointed at me when I first met her. I won't lie. I feel like I blacked out a lot of the pandemic. It's literally hard for me to pull specific memories from what we did over school on Zoom. I remember worrying that my training would be stunted and that there was no possibility of growth. But I was wrong. When we finally trickled our way back to in-person classes and performances, the evidence was plainly in front of me in my cohort. I saw for myself how much my classmates had grown, how much more grounded in their work they were. And it gave me hope, because I knew that I trained with them and that I was a part of it, and so maybe I was as good as them. I mean, I cannot wait to be in Gracie and Wes's next movie, and I'll have my people reach out to yours. Melissa Smith once said to me, "Smile less. People will like you regardless. Take off your mask." And don't actually take off your mask because of COVID, but you know. For me, it was really profound. And it's one of the most important things I've taken away from A.C.T. I feel like I've found myself. Having gone through this gauntlet, I feel like I can navigate this world unapologetically myself. And I see that quality in each and every one of my classmates. These people are fearless, and they are my role models and my favorite actors. And I cannot wait to see what absurdity they get themselves into, and if I am lucky, I'll be part of it. I love you.
Listen. The simple verb to listen. It's one of my favorite words on earth. Listening is at the core of our craft and absolutely required to survive an environment like A.C.T. It was by listening to instructions, to the energy in the room, to the side conversations, to the whispers in the hallway, to Jack's thorough tours of the theaters, and to the pumping black heart that is inside of me that I knew during callback weekend that this was the place I wanted to give 3 years of my life to. Or perhaps so did you. Listening got me here too, surrounded by 11 of the most beautiful voices I've ever had the privilege to listen to. Our first week at A.C.T. was a big leap of faith, of trust, and unforgettable to me. I didn't know any of you. Everyone was new, every detail mattered, every word of wisdom, every instruction mattered, every damn old white play on our summer reading list. We later came to do better, thanks Joy. Every introduction, every interaction, everything mattered so much when we knew so little about one another. I remember with so much clarity when, in our itinerary that week, my first listen came out. It wasn't allowed. In fact, most of the time when I say listen, y'all know it's not followed by any sound. A faculty member whom I barely knew at the time announced with pride, "Welcome to A.C.T. This is your family." Hold on, listen. Don't get me wrong, but this is not. Family to me is that pretty lady in the crowd smiling and looking around without the slightest idea of what I'm talking about, because she doesn't speak the language that she, as a young single black mother in Brazil, I'm so proud, insisted that I learned so that I could have the opportunities that she never had. Family's that. Family is that lady whom I went 3 years without seeing, hugging and kissing, so that this moment right here could happen. Family is something that you get brought into in God's righteous time, already late in history, having missed generations and years of life that came before your precious arrival. Until you grow older, wiser, and more powerful, you can't do nothing about it. You must follow the rules and customs, accept and embrace traditions, and do as you're told until you know any better. And listen, this is not who we are. This is not this group of folks, not even close. The 12 of us, strangers to each other then, did not come all the way here on unceded Ramaytush-Ohlone land to be family. We already had that. So cheers to them. In fact, if there's one thing I remember from the look in your faces every time A.C.T. had us angry, tired, and spent, aching, bruised, and bent, is that this is worth it because of our family. So cheers again. Our kids and wife, our immigrant parents, our ancestors, our partners, communities, friends, they were reflected in the glowing fire in your eyes. And we were welded together to cherish and celebrate the best of who we are. That fire brought me here from so far to burn and give light with shining stars like you. That's what we do. But what we were then was nothing close to what we became. Y'all are more than family to me. You're an extension of everything I ever wanted to be.
fearless, generous, kind, gifted, fine. Your destiny materialized and light, personalized now as memory. Also in that first week, I didn't speak. I would barely speak. I would observe all of you, shy with my voice, trying so selfishly to take it all in, take all of you in. I would listen so I could learn, so I could love. To be honest, that's how I got into theater. That's how I got by, making all the right choices that brought me right here. I'd listen to you so I could learn you, so I could love you. And the beauty of it is that 3 years were enough to love you, not enough to learn you fully, and just about the right amount of time anyone should be listening to your buffoonery. But I could do it forever. From the beginning through the middle till the end, we rolled together. We rolled together, a group of sailors in no need of a captain. We showed this institution from day one of our odyssey that they should have had a compass because we are people of the sea. And amidst the losses that we had, the tempests that we faced, the noise from the winds, the cloudy days, we refused to let each other go adrift. Building, rebuilding, and working on trust, this class carried the weight of this place and refused to drown. That's who we are. We have redefined what it means to work well under pressure because we are the pressure. We're that precious. Melissa Smith, I will never forget, once looked at us at the end of class and said, "I'm amazed that we were able to bring you together." And I know she was right. We have been a miracle at A.C.T. We have watched the oxygen tanks be removed while we were here breathing and making life happen. And listen, people have won Tony Awards for less, so we're fine. Melissa was right. Lucky is the theater that can have all of us here as alumni, because we will carry the spirit of what this conservatory is and has been until the day we die. For us, not because A.C.T. trained and trialed us, but because A.C.T. became us. The last class and their crew, the ones who remained. So thank you, faculty, production, and all the beautiful collaborators and friends who helped us stay on top of our games. So as we depart, separate from each other, away from a daily dose of clownery, I ask that you remember to listen, so you can learn, so you can love. Love how you have loved us, how you have loved this, with a compassionate understanding of what it is and a relentless desire to make it better. A.C.T. without a conservatory, faculty, staff, students, its people, maybe just the American theater, and there's nothing special about that. But let us now, alumni, show up to work here and everywhere with a compassionate understanding of what the work is and a relentless desire to make it better. That's who we are. That's who we're trained to be. The one and only class of A.C.T., the class of 2022. I love you, and ashe to all of you.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the administration, and faculty of the American Conservatory Theater, I'm delighted to confer the Master of Fine Arts degree in acting upon the members of the class of 2022.
Rick Laurence Najera. Hernán, Cosme, and Angulo. Nicholas Jeffrey Anhorn-Giovannoni. Evangeline Vittoria Edwards. Eileen Fojtik. Scott Gunter. Cassandra Morgan Hunter. Breezy Leigh.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Demosthenes Lafayette Mercer, Jr. Wesley Pinto Guimarães dos Santos. Michelle Rinow. Madeline Isabel Yagle.
Well, may you go forward. Well, let's have one more round of applause. May you go forward in life, continuing to extend yourselves to each other, continuing to build strong relationships with new collaborators, enjoying happiness in your lives, and great success in all endeavors. We will be looking to see you on the front lines of the peaceful revolution and the change of consciousness that is much needed in this world. Congratulations.